Hey everyone, Nubkeks here, and welcome back to the Heroes of the Storm PTR. We're jumping on to Varian again. In the last video we did a two-handed build. In this one, we're going to be trying out a dual wielding build. So in case you haven't seen Varian, basically he's a multi-class hero, and basically how he works is determined very much so by the heroic he chooses. One heroic makes him pull out a sword and a shield, one makes him pull out a big two-handed sword, and the other one he'll split his sword into two. That's the one we're going to take in this one, and he'll have a little sword in each hand. I actually picked the wrong level 1 talent here, or I didn't realize until I took a quick look back at this video, or in hindsight looking at it. So the reason is basically around what these level 10 abilities do, right? So the one we're going to pick up, it's like twin blades of something, but it gives you 100% bonus attack speed. You see how I wanted to like go in and deflect some shots from the tower, but Misha went in instead. Misha's so brave, such a good pet. Yeah, the one we pick up gives us 100% bonus attack speed, but it reduces, and it says it reduces our base attack damage by 25%, I think it is. So obviously I was reading this and going, okay, they very specifically said basic attack damage instead of saying it reduces your attack damage by 25%. And then I didn't look properly, and then I assumed that just meant that, okay, it's your base, but any bonuses that you get, any bonuses, won't be reduced. They'll just go on top of it and you'll get those for free. So you have this level 1 talent we picked up, which is called High King's Quest. It's actually a really cool talent. I'll show you each of the level 1 talents in each of the videos. So at least that worked out. I don't think we applied the level 1 talents appropriately, but at least we get to see each of them in action. So this one is it's a 3-part quest. One part of the quest is to hit heroes 50 times. Another part is to participate in 5 takedowns. There you go. And then the other one is to collect 20 regen globes. Obviously the regen globe bit on most maps will be the hardest thing to finish. Excuse me, but yeah, you get 10 attack damage every time you finish one of those quests. When you finish all 3, you get an additional 30 attack damage. But the crucial thing is, it actually says it increases your base attack damage, so you gain an additional like 30 base attack damage, which seems kind of weird because it's bonus damage, but it's base damage. Now, I think this is how it works. Again, the wording is a little bit odd. I think that they named it all base attack damage so that you wouldn't get confused by the heroic reducing that. Or then, of course, the two-handed one gives you 75% bonus base attack damage, which is, I mean, it's all getting confusing. We're getting bonus base damage. Is it bonus? Is it base? I'm very confused. But I think that this High King's Quest, you do get 75% extra with the two-handed one. Again, subject to being tested out, for sure. And I think with the dual wielding build we're going here, we're actually going to get 25% less. Now, of course, it's still pretty damn good because we're going to have 100% bonus attack speed. So, I mean, when we finish the quest, we're getting, instead of 60 bonus damage, we're getting 25, so we get 45 damage. But we're doing that 100% faster, so it's still really good, but it's not as efficient as it could otherwise be. My thoughts on it as we're just kind of running around. Oh, by the way, our Q is like a narrow line skill shot, does damage and slows. Our E is a dash and a stun. I'll talk about, sorry, it's a charge. I'll talk about the talent we picked up at level 4, which changes that as well quite soon. And then our W, it just lets us reflect basic attacks, and see, there we go, using it to block some stuff from the tower. Now using it to deflect this stuff. Should have actually deflected the first shot, so getting slowed down. And uh-oh, the enemy Varian is on the way, and we don't have any mana to hit him with a Q and knock him off his mount. He gets on top of us, Illidan follows in, and we get picked off. Karazim is being a bit of a jerk. So I think I actually jump in and rip the piss a little bit here, which seems appropriate. But you can see down the bottom left, you can see we've got one of our quest things finished right there, which is pretty nice. Having some fun in the chat. But yeah, then our heroic strike, which is our trait here, is going to be extremely important with this particular build. Extremely important. This adds just bonus damage on the attack it activates. So the next attack we hit, you can see it's flashing now, it's lit up. When we land our next attack, here it goes, boom, does a big chunk of bonus damage. And then it has an 18-second cooldown, but every basic attack lowers that by 2 seconds. However, when we pick up our heroic at level 10, every basic attack will lower that by 9 seconds. So every 2 hits is going to refresh that cooldown. So we'll go in, we'll like hit people with boom, big heroic strike. Then we'll go hit, boom, hit them again with heroic strike, hit, boom. It's like this 3-hit combo, and it churns out a ton of bonus damage. It's going to be really crazy. So watch out for that when we hit level 10. At level 4, I picked up, I believe it's called Warbringer. You've got a huge choice at level 4 between two talents. One is Shield Wall, one is Warbringer, if I've got the names remembered correctly. What Shield Wall does is it makes your W, that parry ability, which only by default deflects basic attacks, deflect all damage. The other option is Warbringer, which turns your charge, which is by default a 16-second cooldown, and applies a 75% slow, into a 6-second cooldown, applying a stun instead. So instead of a 75% slow for 1 second, you apply a stun for 1 second. So it makes it much more powerful, and you can use it multiple times in the fight. I actually think with this build, I picked up the Warbringer thing with this build. I actually think that this is probably the best heroic to combo with the Shield Wall talent, right? Because the heroic we're going to pick up, another thing that it does is every basic attack, as well as making our attack speed faster, heroic strike cooldown faster, and all of that. Hoping to bait in the Kerosene, but he backs up before the Misha stun hits, unfortunately. It also gives us bonus attack movement speed, 30% bonus move speed for 2 seconds, I believe, when we hit an enemy hero, which is absolutely huge. There you go. Look at that animation, pretty cool. Rips the sword in half, spins him around. We got 2 swords now, pretty awesome. But yeah, seeing as we get that bonus attack speed, and you can see it here in action, look how fast we run. You don't actually need that reduced cooldown on the charge to stay sticky. And then, of course, you want to be in and attacking as much as possible, so the protection helps you do that. So I'm actually thinking that Shield Wall looks really appealing when you're mixing it up with this particular heroic. It seems like it could be really, really strong. Now, we'll see exactly how things pan out, but that's sort of my initial impressions on that. Of course, as you see, the stun is still pretty damn useful as we catch the Illidan. Gonna hit him once more with the charge. There you go. We wouldn't have got that kill without the charge, so obviously still pretty good regardless. Level 7, I picked up an ability called Second Wind, which every basic attack we land will restore 1% for max health, and then while we're below, you can see the heroic strike just going like nuts right there. While we're below 50% health, we'll also heal for 50% of the damage that we do. So this is absolutely huge, and this is amazing with this heroic because, well, we're attacking really fast, so every single one of those fast attacks is restoring 1% for max health, which is pretty awesome. And then whenever we go below 50% health, I think we overextend quite shortly and get to test that out. That's the intention, right? The intention is to test it out. I'll find out. Anyway, gotta pick a level 13 talents and we'll talk about those afterwards. But watching this fight here, yeah, so we're gonna die here. But just watch how much healing we're gonna get from our Second Wind. There's also Kerosene doing a bit, but I believe he's a damage Kerosene. But look at this. See that? Those constant ticks of healing just going and going and going. That adds up to an awful lot. It really does add up to a lot. It's quite powerful. Ooh, VP to escape. So pretty nice. There you go. 1% of your max health. You can see I was going like, wow, that was better than I expected. That's really, really good. But yeah, I mean, your basic attacks. Oh, I need to sneeze. Excuse me. Ugh. I mean, it just combos super well with all of that. You can see I was trying to look at some of these things as we go. At level 13, then, you've got a choice of 3 banners. These are awesome. They all have a 45-second cooldown, and they last for 12 seconds and cover a pretty large area. You could just plop these down. And each of them does a cool effect and also plays a song, which is nice. The one we picked up was the banner of Ironforge, which gives resistance to everyone near the allied heroes nearby, which is 25% reduced damage. You can get the banner of Stormwind, which is 25% increased movement speed, and then the banner of Dalaran, which is 20% ability power. So all of those are obviously extremely powerful. I decided to go for Stormwind here, not for Stormwind, for Ironforge here, the resistant. Seems like the most useful overall. Walk into the stun like a noob. But oh well. I thought it'd just be very helpful for diving in. We're quite melee stacked. Once again, this PTR is hilarious because it's just full of melee heroes and basic attack heroes. It's like all basic attack, Iron Fist, Karazims, Illidan's, Zeratul, Varians, and then other stuff. You get a few people playing Tassadar, they're like, wah, this will work really well. But yeah, it's kind of funny. It makes it a little bit hard to judge as well with Varian how good he's going to be, because you can prioritize Warbringer way more than you normally would, because there tends to be relatively little ability damage in the games. There's just so much basic attack damage. For example, against Varian himself, that parry is going to negate most of his damage, so that's something to watch out for. Also, it was quite interesting. Remember the last video? I was saying, like, these guys seem pretty good. There was a Zeratul called Kronaz. I was like, this guy, he knows what he's doing. I'm a bit scared. You can see I popped down that banner just to protect my teammates as they come out of the Void Prison. That's actually quite important. But yeah, and there we go. We just charge in and we grab that the Zeratul. You can see just how effective that stun is. It's really useful to have that stun. Really is. So it's wonderful actually with Varian whenever you can get that stun instead of the protection, instead of shield wall at level 4. That's huge. Gonna grab Mortal Strike here at 16, which every time we heroic strike is gonna apply healing debuff, 40% healing debuff. Obviously with this heroic we're applying heroic strike like every time someone blinks. So yeah, you're gonna have healing debuffs all over the place. It's gonna be incredibly impactful. There you go. You can see just the bonus damage we get from those heroic strikes over and over and over is crazy. And there we go. We actually won the game in 10 minutes. It was a short one. GG. It was a short one. They got stomped. So just kind of joking with the who was it? Was it Illidan? I think it's the Illidan again. But anyway, yeah, the previous game with the two-handed build, the dude that I was saying was pretty good. Turns out he's the second best player on EU solo queue right now, like literally the second best. So yeah, definitely the thing with the PTR, right? You can see there you go. You see saying base attack damage, right? Weird, right? You get more base attack damage. This reduces your base attack damage, but it's bonus. That's why Blizzard couldn't you just like I know they called it probably all base attack damage so that you'd be certain that that the heroic would reduce it, but couldn't they have just like had the heroic just say reduces your total attack damage? Wouldn't that have worked? I'm confused. But yeah, so going from the two builds to each other, this one felt so much more powerful. But that's just the way the PTR is, that in the previous game we got ridiculously good enemies, and this game they weren't ridiculously good. So yeah, I'm honestly walking away from the two videos, I was like, I felt about 3 times as powerful in this second one. But that's just literally the just the skill levels of all the players in the game. It distorts things, it does. So it's really hard to say what's going to be better. One thing I say, just like a final finishing thought, seeing this was a pretty short video, obviously, this build with the dual wielding is all about sustained damage in the team fights. If you're able to get in and keep putting out those attacks, you're going to do a lot of damage. It's also going to be extremely effective against neutral objectives, where that sustained DPS is just going to tear through them. You know, imagine like the Garden Terrors on Garden of Terror, the Shamblers, imagine the Shrines on Infernal Shrines, imagine Immortals on Battlefield of Eternity. You're going to be shredding through those because you're doing so much damage. You're quite like Samuro as well, actually, kind of with the fast, hard-hitting attacks with the 3-hit combo. It's weird, he's kind of similar. And then getting movement speed when you hit enemy heroes. Very similar to Samuro in how his basic attacks works once you pick up that heroic. The other one, the two-handed one, will obviously be better. It's more burst damage. And that will obviously be better in burst your team fights. As well, I would also expect that the bursty one will be better in higher leagues, where basically, because people focus fire more, people are more ready to capitalize on engagements. They can see engagements coming, they combo stuff together. Because the two-handed heroic gives you an extra ability, whereas this dual wield one doesn't. But that two-handed, the Colossus Smash ability, applying vulnerability, very much like Tyrande's Hunter's Mark. Yeah, if people capitalize on that and they burst that hero down, it's going to be very effective. And yeah, you're not going to get that. You don't see that much on the PTR, for example. You don't see people all jumping on and bursting the hero that's been Colossus smashed as much. And yeah, you're gonna find that where the focus fire and the capitalization is good, you're gonna get a lot of value out of that. But it's very much empowering your team. Whereas this one is a much more selfish Varian build on the sustained damage, and obviously where there's less focus fire and in the longer team fights that you typically have as you go down in the leagues and stuff like that, you're gonna get much more value out of it. And it's also, you know, it's easier to play because you can screw up your Colossus Smash. But you can't really screw up a passive ability in the same way. But anyway, there are just some thoughts on that. I'll be back next time with the tank build. We're going to take a look at tank Varian, see how that one pans out. So yeah, there you go, guys. Give it a like. Let us know what your thoughts are. I think this is definitely the most popular build, the dual wield one. This is the one I've seen most often, and also the one I've seen be the most successful. It seems very strong. But again, let's temper that expectation based on the fact that it is PTR. So we'll go in saying, seems really strong, but we'll see when we get to play it on a live server. So thanks for watching, everyone. See you all next time for more Here's the Storm. Lots more PTR coverage coming up, so stay tuned for that. Bye bye.